everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I am Dr. Judith Migoya, a pediatric neuropsychologist and one of the proud owners of Pediatric Psychology Associates. Today's talk is going to focus on ways to help your children organize and execute plans for completing school assignments as painlessly as independently as possible. Last week, you had the pleasure of listening to Dr. Samantha Corella provide a lot of helpful information and suggestions to help you get through this extended period of quarantine, particularly in light of the recent announcement that regular school will not be returning this year. As Dr. Corella mentioned, maintaining structure and routines is crucial in providing a sense of normalcy and predictability in times of uncertainty. This includes following typical morning routines, such as getting dressed, showering, brushing teeth, making your bed, maintaining meal schedules, and bedtime. It's also important that daily activities and schedules allow time for socialization, creative outlets, physical activity, and spending time in nature. Of course, weather permitting. We're very lucky in Florida, but we know that that's not the case in other states up north where there's a bit of snow here. Now, as it concerns virtual school and related schools and routines, our kids right now are pretty good at showing up for their virtual academic instruction. The issue is, since we've made the shift to virtual school, there's less direct instructional time and more time spent on assigned independent work. This is typically something that is more challenging for our kids, given high demands for organization, planning, time management, self-discipline, and other executive functioning skills that are not so well developed in childhood, actually don't develop all that well until adulthood. So in order to help with those independent assignments, I'm going to be sharing some tools and tips that, if used consistently, can make a big difference in the way your children manage school, responsibilities, and time, so that they can get everything done with minimum stress and conflict, but still having free time to enjoy. So I'm going to be sharing two tools. One is a weekly visual schedule, and the second is a project manager. I'm going to take a second now to share my screen so that you can see these tools, and I'm also going to demonstrate how to use these tools by providing an example of a typical simple project that your children may be assigned. All right, so here we have a weekly visual planner. Many of these are commercially available, and I'm sure you have one or you've had one in the past. There are also many options to get one of these online, many times through free downloads. Ideally, you want to have a weekly visual schedule that includes the whole 7 days of the week, Monday through Sunday, since we do sometimes have to spend weekend time planning for or doing assignments. So 7 days of the week is ideal. And we want to make sure that the time is broken down at the very least into 30-minute increments. If you have 15-minute increments, even better. Sometimes also some people may prefer to have a larger poster-sized weekly planner that both kids and parents can refer to as needed. This is our project manager. You can print one of these for each project or multi-step assignment that is assigned to your child. This tool helps break down large assignments into steps or parts so that the assignments are not so overwhelming for your kids. As you can see, there is a column for estimated time. So after we break the assignment down into parts and plug that information right in the first column, we want our children to try to estimate how long they think each part is going to take. And we're going to write in the times in that second column. The third column is for after the task or the specific part of the task is completed. We want to actually record how long it actually took us to complete the task, just to gauge how good we become at estimating and to make adjustments for the future. The last column there is for when we've completed each part. We want to put a check. Like that, we can keep track of our progress, and also it's a way to just feel like you've accomplished this part. There's one less thing to do. So it actually makes us feel good to have those check marks built in there. And then on the bottom, we have a section for resources and materials so that we can plan ahead and get organized before starting to move through each step of completing the project. And ideas, just in case you have some ideas and you don't want to forget, you plug them in there, and then you can move on to the execution phase. We've talked a little bit about estimating time and actually measuring time. And ideally, we want to have a timer that is a visual timer. And some of them can come as an actual device. Some other ones can come as an app that you can download and use on your phone, tablets or computer. So these are available. It's a very visual way to help your kids stay grounded and be aware of time passing so that they don't waste time unnecessarily. So let's pretend, for example, this is an English class self-portrait project that has 3 components, a mind map, an essay, and a self-portrait. So we are getting this assigned on Monday and due on Friday. So here with our project manager, we're going to write in the name of the assignment and the due date so that in case we have various assignments going on at the same time, we know that this is our routine for this particular assignment. Here we have the resources, and we want to include resources that are specific to this assignment, not just other materials that you need in general, like a timer or a computer, which should always be available in your at your desk. And here is the step-by-step breakdown of the assignment, where we have the mind map as one component, turning that mind map into an essay as step number 2, looking through the magazines for pictures as step number 3, assembling the magazine cutouts and drawings 4, and then gluing it all together and decorating that poster board as our last step. And we would like to have your child gauge how long they think each of those steps is going to take. This would be our weekly schedule, and you would take those parts and time blocks from your project manager and plug it into your weekly schedule. If you notice, I have blocked off 9:30 to 2:30, since some of the schools are using those times in a pretty structured way already to provide instructional time, and they're just ending school a little earlier than normal to allow time for these independent assignments. If that's not the case for your child and your school is not as structured, but more making reference to specific websites that you have to go to, specific links to certain instructions and assignments, then we would want to use that project manager the same way that we're using for the self-portrait to break down also the times that are needed for math instruction and for science instruction, and plug it in just the way that you would all the other times for the subparts of the project. I've also included in this schedule some activities that are pretty standard and happening more or less at the same time, like having breakfast and showering, getting dressed, ready for class, etc., so that your child knows that that is their morning routine every day, including weekends. We can be a little bit more flexible on the weekends in terms of the time that they're getting up, for example, but we still want to maintain a routine. We don't want them, getting up at 1 o'clock if possible. We still want them getting up at the same time and going to bed more or less at the same time so that they keep a good schedule. And again, I think it's helpful to know your kids and for them to know themselves. So for example, if you see here On Monday, there is math tutoring and there's a lot of homework. So I am plugging in there with, of course, the collaboration of my child, the assignments or the part of the assignment that are less taxing than the others. Something like writing an essay, we probably want to leave for a day where we don't have too much going on in terms of academic demands. So Tuesday is a lighter day, so that may be a better day to get that piece done. And again, if possible, we want to try to wrap up the project, ideally a day before it's due, just in case we're missing something, just in case our dog eats our poster, we still have time to get it done and get it turned in on time. So here we have, back to the project manager. This is after we have successfully completed each of those pieces, and we want to go back and actually plug in the actual time to complete, the time that it took us to get through each part. This gives us feedback about how well we're doing, engaging, estimating how long we're going to need. And that way we can make adjustments for the future. And then again, after you complete each piece, then you put a check mark next to it so that you know that it's done. You don't have to think about it anymore or worry about it anymore. You may ask, how do I do this without nagging my child or causing more problems? And I want to take a second to make reference to my use of you in prior slides. When I say you, I don't mean you as a parent, exclusively you. I mean you as a team with your child. And this is part of decreasing that conflict and making sure you're doing things in a way that is encouraging independence rather than encouraging their dependence on you for prompts. So involving children in designing the schedules is really, really helpful. You can discuss what can be gained by using this schedule. And usually this really increases compliance and motivation, because when the kids understand that using a schedule like this is going to decrease stress and anxiety and that feeling of overwhelm of I have so much to do and when am I going to get it done, you know, that in itself is a huge benefit. But also when you feel like you have all the time in the world, you're not nearly as efficient in getting things done. And efficiency means having more free time to do the things that you do want to do. So when they understand they're going to have less stress and more free time, usually they're in. We can be flexible whenever possible and make this a collaborative process. So by that I mean, in this collaborative process, we want to make sure that we're validating what they want, what they need, and their ideas, and also expressing what we need as parents and what our ideas are, and then together coming up with solutions that are mutually satisfying. So if it only works for me, it's not going to work because I'm going to have to nag my child to get it done. If it only works for him, not going to work either. So coming up with kind of like a middle ground where things are going to get done and we're both comfortable with it. Collaboration, again, increases compliance. And it also creates an opportunity, a great opportunity, to teach time management, problem solving, self-discipline. If you were to do this weekly planner on your own and just hand it over to your child and say, here's your schedule, not only would you likely decrease compliance, but also not be teaching him the skills or her the skills that they're going to need to be able to do this in the future. And this is a lifelong skill that they're going to need for sure. You can also set up the schedule in a manner where enjoyable leisure activities come after the completion of responsibilities. And I said earlier, be as flexible as you can. This is not something that I would recommend you be flexible with. The reward works best when it comes after, right? Not when it comes before. So when you set up the leisure activities, those activities themselves work as a reward and reinforcer and as a motivator for your child to get through the task as efficiently as possible. Efficiently doesn't mean rush through it. It means get it done quickly and well, right? So by setting up those activities afterwards, it kind of like gets them through the task a little faster so that they can get to the good stuff. It's like dessert after dinner. Also using a visual timer to help your child remain on task. And, I showed a couple of examples of a visual timer. That was a time timer, but there's a lot of options online. It really helps your child become aware of time passing, again, increasing productivity and efficiency, which at the end of the day equals more free time for them. So that wraps up today's talk. I hope you have found these tools and tips helpful. If you're interested in accessing a copy of the project manager, I'm happy to post it, and we will post it in our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, if you need help implementing these strategies with your children, I'm also available for private consults. And our whole team at Pediatric Psychology Associates is happy to help in any way possible. We're providing private telehealth support and making information and tools available at no cost to our community through social media talks such as this one, and also with our parenting series, weekly seminars. Our webinars are available on our website and on our social media pages as well, so that you can reference, even if you're not available at times that they're actually going live. Our next webinar is scheduled for the evening of April 28th, and it will feature Dr. Ehrlich, who will be discussing ways to encourage healthy eating habits and relationships with our bodies, a topic that is relevant to all, children to adults. Remember that this time of quarantine, though certainly challenging, can be used to accomplish a lot of good. It could be a great opportunity to focus on ourselves, our families, and develop new skills and healthy habits for life. Stay tuned for more information on our next webinar. And goodbye for now. Stay healthy. See you soon.